Formula 1 returns to China for round 16 of the 2020 season. With only a few races left to go now in the championship, it's reaching fever pitch now between Lewis Hamilton for Toyota and Josh Chero in the Alfa Romeo. And this Chinese Shanghai circuit in the past has been a bogey track for both drivers in the championship contention. However, looking towards the other end of the grid, Aston Martin are expecting a struggle in qualifying, as they haven't really had too many updates to their car throughout this season, but we're expecting better in race pace due to this long back straight. And it was indeed on this long back straight where Toyota were unmatched by any other team or driver, with Matsushita and Hamilton easily the fastest cars in a straight line, will look to use their straight line speed advantage to gain 1-2 in qualifying. And knowing this, Alfa Romeo went the other way and focused more on race pace throughout the practice sessions. Knowing that qualifying will probably go the way of the Japanese marquee, they're focused on maximising the potential over the 30 laps of the race. It was all change at Renault as Esteban Ocon now comes in to replace Jean-Luc Vergne, who leaves the team providing mutual consent after knowing he won't be remaining with the team for next season. And the team have targeted a top 6 finish for Ocon in this race. Hey guys, Renault here. Welcome back to Formula 1. Round 16 here at the Shanghai circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix. And I know it's been a while since the last few races. I mean, in the last few years, the past couple of weeks, I took a little bit of a break from this series. And I'm back now, going to bang out hopefully the rest of these races over the next remaining weeks. So mentally, if you're hyped for this season, this series making a return, and you know when the race is done, also vote for your driver of the day. There'll be a poll link down below in the video description. It may end up being Esteban Ocon, who starts P9 in his first qualifying after being out for Formula 1 for a while. And I'll come now onto the formation lap. You can get a first look here at how the running order is going to line up for this race. Also making sure every car manages to get away from the grid there as well. All the cars are down to the back and will manage to get themselves away. As you saw there, there's Kevin Magnussen there on the front row. Actually on pole position, so definitely on the front row. So good out there from the Dane with one of the Toyotas there right up behind him there as well. The championship contending teams mixing themselves up there at the front. You've got Pierre Gasly also who had a good qualifying effort. But a good qualifying effort is probably not what AlphaTauri need. Because you'll be stuck now on the soft tyres, and the soft tyres will only do about 2 or 3 laps before going off. So anyone inside the top 10 really is disadvantaged also along with anyone who starts on the soft tyres. Including Esteban Ocon, who makes his return to Formula 1. So the top 10, that's where the team would expect him to be on the pace, but he probably didn't want to be there given he's going to have to be pitting very soon. The likes here of the Red Bull there of Alex Albon on the medium tyres, so the tyre driver and everyone else outside the top 10 will be looking to start on a harder compound of tyres, either medium or the hards, and go longer into the race and do one less stop, so in effect they're already 20 seconds up the road. But now as we line up now then in P3, just behind our championship rival Lewis Hamilton, and hopefully he came back and get a good start and hold up Hamilton, so hopefully we can get past and have an Alpha 1-2. And we've got Max Verstappen in the Red Bull starting P4, so, and we've got Shinji behind as well, so we're surrounded by all the top lane drivers in the top lane teams in cars. And are coming to the 5 red light for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. We can't even see lights in this camera angle, but everyone managed to get away. It's a good stop there for one of the Aston Martins there at the back. On the run now down into turn 1, we get a poor start there. We're forced out wide by one of the Williams cars. And now we've got the other Toyota there looking up our inside of Matsushita. Had a poor qualifying down towards the back end of the top 10. And it was a dry session, so I don't really know what happened there to the Japanese driver. We managed to force out Nobu though. We were just about much cleaner. There's a bit of side-by-side action there going up in front. And now Matsushita looking very feisty still behind us. There's side-by-side more from. We've got Max Verstappen there looking to make a move now on Nico Hulkenberg. Who's still got side-by-side Hamilton and K-Mag for the lead of the Grand Prix. And K-Mag, you need to keep this through. You do what we can for our championship hopes, and Magazine just managed to keep it through, and Verstappen just managed to force his way to keep himself ahead there of the Renault there of Nico Hulkenberg. Of course, Hulk also isn't confirmed at Renault for next year. Feels like Ocon now has taken one of those seats, so Hulkenberg and Ocon, that'll be a pretty interesting lineup. We still have to end up waiting until pre-season testing for it to be confirmed who's going to be having the other Renault seat. Into the racing now, into the third section lap. This is where ourselves and the Toyota will be gaining most time because our cars are so quick in a straight line. The Toyota with its engine power and our Alfa Romeo being slightly lower drag than the other cars around it. We've still got some good aero, but definitely, because everything, our car at heart is still a Sauber. We've just been more money now being pumped into it. We're going to squeeze Matsushita as much as possible. On the run now down into the hairpin. Now you manage to get we're on the brake, and we go very late on the brakes. Any later, I think we would have ended up hitting to the back of Schumacher. We just managed to sweep way back around the outside line. For the racing line, we've got more grip there Because we're also on the same side as all the tyres we managed to get through into Q3 on from Q2. So although you don't want to be starting on the soft tyres, the pace difference between the soft and the mediums is too great that you'd end up being so far down the order otherwise if you didn't go on them. So it's kind of a necessary evil in a way. It's Hamilton now who takes the lead of the Grand Prix. He's managed to get past Kevin Magnussen. Now he's not what we need, and K-Mag's already falling away from the 2008 Drivers' World Champion. Now he's holding up a little bit there. He's holding up now Max Verstappen and also the Renault of Hulkenberg. So he came out not really with the pace. We definitely weren't expecting him to get a pole. Honestly, I don't know how he managed to pull that lap out of the bag. I think he's just where Toyota ended up faltering with Matsushita a bit further down the order. Hamilton, I'll say only in second place, but it's definitely where he should have been taking pole position at this track. Now Verstappen looking all over the back here. What I'm saying this is where our slightly lower drag car will be at a weak point. Because the Red Bull is the exact opposite. It's maximum aero, not the greatest in the straight line, but it definitely has been improving though with that Honda engine. And then there's a few laps further on, Magnussen now going defensive. This is the same place we were just looking at. Now we're starting trying to go around the outside line, bit of a lock up there from Kevin Magnussen, now feeling the pressure, feeling the presence of Max Verstappen. He's definitely got all the makings of a future world champion in him. He knows to make his way through and force way up this line. Came out there, gets a little bit of understeer, washes out wide. But now the solution possibly DRS depending on what lap we're on now. And just look at the straight line speed of that Alfa Romeo is going to come blasting straight back past Max Verstappen. And that is the exact advantage that we have as well, along with Toyota. Now Verstappen, definitely forced that wide. Now actually on the inside line, just you can try and bring Hulkenberg the win. But Verstappen though keeps it around the outside line, keeps his foot in, goes back in. You know, he's only a hairpin slow speed corner. The Red Bull is still going to be better than the Alfa around that corner. There we get a long camera shot here with all the cars making their way through. But Verstappen though, unfortunately managed to make his way in front there of Kevin Magnussen once again. Didn't really see it from the camera angle. Now we've got Hulkenberg out on this line. Kevin Magnussen, so the pole are going backwards now in this Grand Prix. The Alfa, I mean, traditionally it's pretty good on its tyres, but it's pretty good usually on the harder combiner tyres. You think for all the teams, really the soft tyres here. So maybe K-Mag went for glory, went for those 4 championship points. You know that Toyota pretty much got the championship sealed up, so we need really just to seal second place now ahead of Renault. And we've got some fighting there up front. We've got K-Mag now falling up into the grips now of Mick Schumacher. Assuming the Williams. The Williams, it's been an okay car. Definitely not going to be going anything near to their helping them keep their championships, which are going to be relinquishing both at the end of the season, maybe even at the end of this race, given how far Toyota lead the championship by in the constructors. Depends how their race goes. They can get a good run through here. Okay, Magnussen now really is holding up now the 2019 outgoing world champion. Now assuming that he's going to have DRS on the back. Okay, Magnussen now on lap 4. So this is pretty much the time where people are going to start making their pit stops. Because the soft tyres, like I said, really do not last around this circuit. Schumacher looks for a dive, but K Magnussen got that well covered off. You know, Magnussen, you know, he's a very feisty driver as well, so he's going to know all the moves that Schumacher's going to want to try and do to him. And then around the final corner, we will stay out for another. No one's pulling the trigger just yet with the high tyre around here, because we'll get the undercut, but that extra lap of tyre wear would be pretty devastating as well. We're 1.7 seconds down on our best lap. We're going to make the move inside line. Shimi though, using that good strong speed of our car compared to his Honda powered Williams. Going to make the move up the inside line, and Shimi goes for a switch by line. They're trying to keep it side by side with us now on corner exit. Now then into turn 2, we managed to clear the 2019 World Champion. He hasn't been in a top team for very long. I think this is like his second full year in Formula 1. And already we've had so many battles with him. And of course, if he stayed at Williams, he's in what would have been our car really, if we didn't move to Alfa Romeo last season, because he's who Williams promoted to fill the vacancy that we made. Now this is where we need to pull away now from the Williams, and now we're really catching up now to the back. Okay, man, so either he's having some sort of massive car issue, or his tyres are dead. Now moving a bit further on, now we've got the first corners now for the pit stop. You've got Mick Schumacher coming in there with Matsushita and the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly, who had a really good lap in qualifying, but that's absolutely ruined his race any chance of him getting points, because the AlphaTauri is one of the worst cars on the grid. I don't know how he managed to get into Q3 in that car, but a bit of a madness, so he's like he's finally working up now towards the end of the season. There's going to be a set of medium tyres here for pretty much everyone who's coming to the pits there, and going back up now, and the cars come out in the same order that they went in. It looks like though there was a bit of a bad piss on there for Schumacher. It looks like he's pulled away a little bit. Now he's on to lap 6, so that was in lap 5 all of them came in. And we're still up behind the back here of K-Mag, because Magnussen being the lead driver, he gets first call on what he wants to do for his pit stop. Now we've got Esteban Ocon driver. He spent a bit of time out Formula 1. He's got a bit of a reputation tree, but he got known as a bit of a crash kid really back in 2016 and 17 when he lost his seat to Kamui Kobayashi, and has been out of Formula 1 ever since then. So looking to rebuild his name and rebuild his reputation, and now we can finally be boxing this lap. Well, it'll be box opposite to K-Mag, because of course, remember, he's the lead driver, he gets the lead call, and we'll see if he wants to stay out for another lap. I don't know why he would, but he can do that if he wants. We come now then into the final corner. K-Mag does indeed stay out for another lap, so maybe this is how we run a bit wider, do a little bit of a Hamilton, but thankfully there's not a gravel trap there anymore, otherwise we may well have got stuck. But thankfully we didn't, we can carry on in this race. That's probably why the tarmac it actually. Other people getting stuck in the gravel trap into the pit lane, which not really something you ever hear about, really, is it? Getting stuck in the pit lane. But again, as we've seen, it does happen. There's a good pit stop there from the Alfa Romeo boys, and also a good pit stop as well there from the Williams pit crew there for Nicholas Latifi, who comes in the lap after his teammate. So I think K-Mag is a little bit screwed, should probably come in the last lap. We're going to hard tyres now. We're going to try a very audacious one stop now, try and go from soft tyres to hard to go to the end of the race, because with Hamilton out in front, we need to do something different here, otherwise we're just going to guarantee to be losing points. I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of difference, but if we can gain back another 20 seconds, then that might put us somewhere near him. Now we've got Matsushita there right behind us. He also managed now to clear Shimi. But now we're trying as much as we can to try and hold this through. And we've got Verstappen. He's also got the same idea as us now on the hard tyres. But Hamilton there in the net lead of the race, on his air means. So Hamilton and Matsushita definitely going to be stopping again in this race. And looking now up front, this is how far is up the road. Still the same lap. Now we've got the Renault there of Hulkenberg coming in along there with Kevin Magnussen. There's going to be a piss-off now for these two. Now it's going to be interesting what strategy these two go on. And you say a hard tyres there for Kevin Magnussen. I think he's lost the place there to the Renault, but he's going to come out now. He's definitely going to the end of the race now. Well, he's trying. I wouldn't say definite. Still got about 20 laps or so of the race left to go. But that actually was Ocon that could have been. I also want to say a hard tyres one, and the hard tyres really matched the Renault car really well actually, with that all black livery. The white really does well. Well, white and black works anyway, especially all the white that are sponsored on the car there as well. A little bit further on, looking now at the running order, we've got Alex Albon there leading the way. Of course, he starts out of the top 10. And then behind you, you've got the Ferrari there, Charles Leclerc. And then currently in third place, the Mercedes there, George Russell. He's definitely not accustomed this season at least to winning the podium place. He's got a few podiums before last season, but when the Mercedes was a lot better last year than what it is this year though. The DAS system really not working out for the German outfit. And you've got Sebastian Vettel there, followed then by the leader of the McLarens. Vettel now going to try and make a move on George Russell coming on the inside line. It's side by side now with the bit of lock up there from Russell, so definitely feeling the pressure that Mercedes car really not optimised for, well, any racetrack so far really this year. Definitely hasn't been the greatest car in the world that Mercedes have ever created. And around the final corner, Vettel's made that move stick there pretty easy on the 2019 F2 champion. And a bit further behind, you've got the other McLaren there coming under pressure there from Daniel Kvyat. So as one Mercedes loses a place, the other one gains a place. So the equilibrium for Mercedes is restored. As Daniel Kvyat makes a move there past Rio Haryanto. And then we have Lewis Hamilton now, who's stuck right in this queue of cars. Of course, I would say net race leader, but he isn't anymore because he's got to make another stop along with all the cars in front of him. So Alex Albon really is the net race leader, depends what his pace is. Then you've got Sergio set to camera behind one of the Aston Martins. And then we have Max Verstappen, then followed by the other Aston Martin there, Sergio Perez. He's now got himself stuck right in between here, in between two of the lead cars. Now the Aston Martin there versus the Renault. It should be an easy fight for Hulkenberg at some point. Now we're just doing our own thing here on the state of the hard tyres, along there with Esteban Ocon. And you've got the Williams there, Mick Schumacher going well in that Williams car as well. And then you've got Matsushita. I don't really know what's happening. He really hasn't found some. But he's got a dud set of tyres, I mean it's possible. I'm pretty sure the tyres are to some extent man-made, so there are going to be marginal variabilities in all of the tyres. So it looks like a dud set there for Matsushita. He isn't making any progress so far. And Pierre Gasly's keeping it with that queue of cars, so pretty much showing they're not really going anywhere. And on to lap 12, nearly halfway through this race, and we're in P14, ahead of Lars Stroll, who, like I said, is ahead of us full position. Now he's got one more stop left to make. I hopefully don't, being on the hard tyres. We've still got Matsushita behind him. He's lost a load of time as we set our personal best first sector. Don't really know how, since we're still behind Aston Martin, and maybe Aston Martin finding some good pace now. since he's done nearly half the race of the medium tyres. And all these guys are just going to sweep around the outside line, even that wasn't even fair. We're going to barge in and make a move because we can't afford to spend any time here stood behind these slower cars, especially with Hamilton being up front of us. I'm not going to say in the net lead anymore because I think Albon still has a good chance to win this whole thing since he's in a front running car, didn't have the best qualifying, but that should end up working out the best for him. And this is where you need to put away from the Aston Martins because, like ourselves and the Toyotas, the Aston is pretty quick in a straight line because it has basically no downforce. It is just going to be all low drag. And let us just look at the speed of that Aston Martin car now. Going to squeeze as much as we can because we can't really do too much. There we go. The brakes are going to outbrake it. Then Shoal keeps it out on the inside line. And they're going to pinch it there to the apex. Going to try and hold it all the way around the outside. And he pushes it back there into the curbing. And then the keep side by side still with Lance Stroll now into the final corner. He makes a second. Stroll doesn't go for the pits. I think he might. If I was sure, I would have pit there and then to lose as minimal time as he can because he gets some poor line through the final corner. And that's why I went on the outside because I didn't really want to switch the inside in case he did want to come to the base because then we would have crashed and we probably would have both been out of the race. And at this point in the championship, I definitely can't afford it. I mean, I definitely can't afford a no-point score. No matter where Hamilton finishes, since it's still like, 30 points up the road. I need to be beating Hamilton in every single race now. Ideally, have a chance at the championship in the final race in Japan. And we put up our personal best first sector there once again. We went out a little bit wide because that's the first time really in the first few laps we've had a bit of clear air. And being a bit further on, looking up front, a bit further in front, we've got the McLaren here of Rio Haryanto now holding up the Toyota of Lewis Hamilton. Because the McLaren the team where Hamilton started because McLaren had their own fight with Ferrari, the 7th place in the constructors. They're not going to be making it easy for him to make a move. And now Haryanto with a DRS. Wide open now with the overspeed there with the McLaren. Hamilton's going to make 3 wide, going to sandwich the Mercedes. So Hamilton's going to try and drive past 2 of his former teams. Going to make it side by side. 3 wide into the hairpin. Somehow they've all managed to pull that off. And somehow Hamilton's managed to make the move stay there on the side of both of them. But now Haryanto's still going to try and make a move on the inside line of that Mercedes as well. Making side by side on corner exit. And Haryanto with a nice move there managed to make the move stick on the Mercedes, and Hamilton makes a move stick there on 2 of his former teams. Now we can have to go down the road and chase down the other team who drove for Ferrari back in 2015 and 2016 before moving to Toyota when they returned to the sport for 2017. But now Alex Albon, the race leader, there comes in to make his one and only pit stop. I'm sure that's going to be onto a set of hard tyres, but depending on how far he's going in the race, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to get a set of softs, but then they would run out immediately though. It is going to be set hard tyres, and Red Bull playing it safe. I mean, what they've got to lose really, with how far down the order Albon started. And the Ferrari pick we also put a set of hard tyres there, for which I couldn't quite see which driver that was, but it's going to be hard tyres I think for everyone who comes in now. It's going to be Charles Leclerc, I think that was. And Sergio Perez there goes to a set of hard tyres as well, because all these guys, of course, they're all going to lose out to us now, but they're going to be on so much fresher tyres. There's going to be blasting out fastest laps as well. Probably not fast laps of the race, given these are all the midfield cars, but they're just going to be going faster and faster now with each lap of the race, so we've got nothing left to lose. Going to be pushing us to the end of the race. So the Charles Leclerc now leads the way, so it must have been Sebastian Vettel then that made his pit stop. And I don't know if Ferrari have actually led a lap so far this year. Well, if they haven't, well now they have, with Charles Leclerc leading the way, ahead then of the other Mercedes of George Russell, so one of the future British talents going up against one of the current British legends of Lewis Hamilton. That Mercedes car is pretty good straight because with the DAS system it can slightly move the front wheels in and out, so it will slightly increase straight line speed, but he's got absolutely no chance of holding back the Toyota behind him. Now the Hamilton with the DRS putting out wide open as well, you can see there in the rear view mirror. He's going to pull to the inside line of the Mercedes and he's going to move straight past it like it wasn't really even there. Now I think it's the braking zone. And the nice hit picks there from Lewis Hamilton, and it makes an easy mistake because Russell probably didn't want to fight that because he's probably going to be pitting at the end of this lap, so like with us and Stroll a few laps to go. Side by side is not really where you want to be. As both of them now coming to the pit, it's going to take the fight to the pit lane between Mercedes and McLaren. Of course, the next season, in the future time, they're going to be pairing up again with engines. As rumoured that McLaren are going back to Mercedes AMG engines. That's going to be set of the hard tyres there for George Russell. A good pit stop there from the Mercedes crew. As Leclerc's already been on onto his set of tyres, and McLaren couldn't quite get the jump actually. I think they got a marginally slower stop because I think Russell there's getting a little bit of time in the pit lane. Now they come out now back onto the track where is there going to be any traffic at the field out. I think I just saw a car there flash through, not quite sure though. And it is the other Ferrari there, Sebastian now hit Vettel that is splitting his cars, so a little bit of time that he lost ends up costing him big time there. Now then Lewis Hamilton now does have to make a second pit stop, of course, on the medium tyres. Definitely weren't going to get them all the way to the end of the race. Now we're going to be a pretty empty pit lane here for the 2008 World Champion and current Championship leader, and it's a good pit stop there for the Toyota driver with a set of medium tyres to go to. Then so Hamilton is definitely going to be setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Now on his way back and now onto the track. So I think you've got one of the Williams cars there, and just behind us, that's probably Mick Schumacher. As Hamilton now comes out in a little bit of clear air. I don't know if he's in front or behind us, that's yet to be seen, depends how much good pace he had. And I think that's actually him behind us now. Was this Kevin Magnussen? Can't quite tell from the camera angle. And that's our teammate K-Mag. So I think K-Mag's behind us anyway. So I think Hamilton has actually now come out somewhere behind us. Now looking at Max Verstappen in the Red Bull, we've got one of the Renaults right behind him. Of course, this battle is going to be very passable between Red Bull and Renault after how their relationship ended a couple of years ago. Now they're going to be the DRS now for Nico Hulkenberg trying to move on Max Verstappen, because Hulkenberg vying for his seat at Renault for next year, and if he can get a win, then that'll definitely help his cause. Because Renault have had a few wins go begging this year. I mean, the best chance was back at Monaco, although he managed to make a type on him after he got held up there by traffic. Now Verstappen, he's going to have DRS now to try and come back, and Nico Hulkenberg on the run down into 7-1. If he doesn't get it here, then I think Hulkenberg is going to end up disappearing now. Now Verstappen with the DRS, he's going to make a move on Hulkenberg, getting close, but this straight is just not quite long enough for Verstappen there to be able to do anything with it. He has to stay now behind Hulkenberg. And then in that fight behind them is ourselves. So we are actually ahead of Lewis Hamilton, pretty sure. Then we've got Alex Albon, who's the lead of the cars outside the top 10. And then we have Esteban Ocon having a good race on his return back to Formula 1 with Renault, and is safe with the knowledge that he's got a contract for next year already. And then we've got our teammate Kevin Magnussen. That was a really nice camera shot actually, as they come through now the first few corners. And then you have Lewis Hamilton, and then we have the lead of the Ferraris of Charles Leclerc, and Leclerc could be on for some good points in this race. And then we have George Russell as the lead of the Mercedes, holding up what's still Sebastian Vettel. So I don't know where Vettel has dropped out behind the Mercedes, but he has done at some point. And they're sandwiching then both the McLarens of Norris ahead of Arianto, and then we have Daniel Kvyat in the other Mercedes. So this is just a visual representation of how close the midfield fight is, because you've not got too far behind them. You've got the Aston Martins and the AlphaTauris not keeping in their battle. And then we have Matsushita all the way down here. He's had an absolute mare of a race. Now he's gone to a set of hard tyres as well, so something's gone wrong with there. I don't know what's gone wrong here. Massachusetts, he's really had a weekend to forget. Down in the bottom reaches the top 10 in qualifying, and down in the bottom end of the grid in the race. Down here with the Aston Martins and the AlphaTauris, which are the bottom cars in the championship. So you'd think are the worst cars currently on the grid. There's Lawrence Stroll there in last place in a bit of a no man's land. I think a bit of a lonely race really. Now moving back further on, now got the fight once again between Verstappen and Hulkenberg. Verstappen, and he's not let the German pull away now into turn 1. Verstappen going to go for it now on the inside line, trying to come in back on the inside line side by side. This might well be for the lead of the Grand Prix, giving it side by side now. I'm pretty sure it is actually. These two going for the lead. Hulkenberg needs a win. Verstappen, he's not in the championship fight, but Red Bull needs some good points in the constructors if they want to secure 4th ahead of Mercedes or Williams. They're still duking out for 5th. Hulkenberg now, he's going to just have to stay behind now. Have to, in the words of Ross Medley, just keep his cool. Because through the middle part of the lap, not really going to be anything that you can do. You just have to try and stick with Verstappen. And don't know if he's just sticking back behind the Renault, but he looks like he's driving like a man possessed at the minute. Because that Red Bull is so good through the corners, because with the Adrian Newey chassis and aero work, you think that the Red Bull, if it's going to be good somewhere, it will be through the corners. And with the improved Honda engine, which has been improving over the past few seasons as well. So he's going to have some pretty good grunt to this straight line, but I still don't think it's going to be as much as what the Renault has, because they've come on leaps and bounds from where they were last year as well, after they got disqualified from the first half of the championship for using an illegal braking system on their car. Hulkenberg with the DRS, with the switching as well. Is he close enough to Verstappen to try and do anything to try and gain on the Dutchman down into the hairpin? And the answer to that is definitely going to be no. Not going to go for a massive dive, because although Hulk ideally needs to win the race, Renault need all the points they can get in their fight in the constructors. Looking here at one of the Toyotas, couldn't quite see which one it was from the camera angle. I think it might be Lewis Hamilton. I think from the helmet. And Hamilton, he's got engine failure. Hamilton, the championship leader, now going slowly. He's at the end of his Grand Prix. There's smoke out the back of his car. I don't know if he can limp it around for the final few remaining laps. He's going very slowly now. There goes the Ferrari going past. As you can see, he's stuck in third gear. The gearbox got nose down. He's out of the race. The championship leader, Hamilton, now out of the Grand Prix. With only a few races left to go in the championship. Yeah, he's on for about 10 or 15 points. He's going to get none because we're now in third place. We're on the podium. We're going to be getting 12 points for our efforts at least, unless we can somehow get fastest lap as well. But Lewis Hamilton out of the Grand Prix with only a few laps left to go. He's out of the race on lap 26 of 20. And there's not a safety car. I mean, I would have liked a safety car, honestly, to bunch things up, to maybe could have gone for the win. Because Hulkenberg and Verstappen, they've just disappeared. I can't even see him on the mini-map. Let alone on this straight, can't see him either. We come past this stricken Toyota there of Lewis Hamilton, the championship leader, out of the Grand Prix. And Toyota looks like they've been struggling with reliability now. I mean, they've been bulletproof all year, but maybe the engine where they've been putting through those parts with how fast they've been. Of course, they've been trying just to eke it out, not to take any penalties, pretty much like we are at Alfa Romeo as well, and now with and Hamilton out of the Grand Prix, and now because is that the championship blow that he needed? Is that what we needed to get us back in the championship fight? He carried the momentum through now into the final races, but talking momentum, we've got Alex Albon there looking very racing bad now. We've got one lap of this race left to go. We've not got much richness left to play with. Now Albon now, he can make it a double Red Bull podium, and we starting outside the top 10, and being on the podium definitely wasn't probably in the game plan for Red Bull. I mean, I'm sure definitely a points finish, being in one of the top cars of this season. And Albon, pretty much like Verstappen, come alive in the fight for that. Red Bull looking really good with its tyre wear, but now you've got the fight over. You've got Hulkenberg now, really with one chance left to try and get past Max Verstappen if he wants to win this Grand Prix. As he now holds it through the middle sector, you have to try and hold back, try and get as close as you can, because the car behind, with these cars being so aero dependent, even despite the changes made last year, there's not really much you can do to really follow the car through with how big and wide they are as well. Especially when you have the smaller cars, they could definitely follow a lot closer. And Verstappen, they use that to advantage to pull away. Now Hulkenberg's going to be giving it absolutely everything. We're sure Honda turn that engine up to 11 as well. Now Hulkenberg with the DRS, with the slow stream, is he close to try and make a move? Can he even make a dive on the back of that Red Bull career into the hairpin corner? Is he close to try and make a move? He gets so close under braking, but he's not quite close enough. I think that was his last chance, been and gone. Unless Verstappen has some kind of issue now into the final corner. You've seen cars blow up over the line before. Harriota back in 2016 blew up as he crossed the finish line. It doesn't look like it's going to be that. And look who's like it's going to be Max Verstappen to win the Chinese Grand Prix. Just holding off the Renault of TDK Hulkenberg. I think one more lap. I think Hulkenberg might find a way to get through. But he ran out wide using all of the track and then a bit more as well. Up to the line. It's going to be P3 for ourselves. 12 points gained back on Lewis Hamilton. We're halved what is his remaining championship lead. That is exactly what we need in our championship fight to try and take the championship here for Alfa Romeo. Totally, they've been bulletproof. I mean, so quick, but Alfa Romeo have just been chipping away at that advantage. But Red Bull, though, take their third win now this season. The Red Bull really have come alive now towards the back end of the season. Whether upgrades are made to their car for the second half of the season really are paying dividend now. And Max Verstappen, he was like a new man in this race, born again really, showing the pace that we know he's capable of. And Daniel Kvyat there, P14, just missing out on the points, but the midfield is so close, so unfortunate race there for the Russian. And now onto the podium. 3 different teams, 3 different engines as well there on the podium as well. So a lot of representation here on the Shanghai circuit podium. And now for the champagne, as Hulkenberg and Verstappen end up there soaking each other, and those two, Hulkenberg could end up at Red Bull next. You never know how the silly season driver market is going to end up playing out. Take a look at the end results, and Max Verstappen takes the win by 0.6 of a second from Nico Hulkenberg. And those two are leagues in front of ourselves, finishing P3, 13 seconds off the win, just holding off Alex Albon in the end. Esteban Ocon with a very good race on his return, finishes P5 for Renault, and they're targeted the top 6, and he delivered on that. And K-Mag, 6th place, not the best race from him, but I wasn't really expecting either of us really to have the strongest race in the world around the circuit. But Sergio said to camera from near the back of the grid, coming home in P7, and also took the fastest lap of the race. I'm not sure how he's managed that, but AlphaTauri seems to be coming on strong at the end of the season, beating out both of the Ferraris of Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel. Massive cheated down in P10, so I think both of those are definitely struggling with component wear in this race. George Russell takes a few points from Mercedes in 11th, with Rio Haryanto scraping a point from McLaren in P12. Hamilton may have DNF this race, but he's still got over a race wins advantage, 26 points clear of ourselves. And Mashita, despite his poor race, holds on to P3, but Hulkenberg's definitely coming knocking for that position, only 11 points behind the Japanese driver. And Kevin Magnussen, despite a quiet race, moves up now into P5 in the championship ahead of Jean-Luc Verne, who won't be retiring now for the remainder of the season, and unlikely he'll be somewhere on the grid next year. Then we have the two Red Bulls of Max Verstappen and Alex Albon on 120 points and 89 respectively. And Daniel Kvyat, ninth place as the lead Mercedes, joint on points now with Mick Schumacher. Sebastian Vettel moves up now into 11th place on 60 points, with Latifi dropping down to P12 in a second of the Williams Hondas. It's not quite over in the Constructors yet, but Toyota definitely have probably 1.5 hands on the Constructors trophy, 92 points clear of Alfa Romeo, and if it carries on like that, Toyota will end up taking the Constructors probably out of the next race or the race after that, so they're going to need a bit more reliability issues if Alfa Romeo to get anywhere close to that. But Alfa now move 46 points clear of Renault for second place, and that is where the main aim is. Of course, getting one place higher up would always be good, but gotta be realistic, second place is what we're aiming for this year. And Renault are 100 points clear of Red Bull, who look pretty secure now in that fourth place. And Williams getting a few points in this race, move a bit further clear of Mercedes, now 11 points clear of the German Giants. The Ferrari with a really good point, so that's what they needed, and being where they are in the championship, that's pretty much all but secured them 7th place now as they just move over the 100 points barrier. McLaren are in 8th place on 82, and AlphaTauri now move away from Aston Martin now with a pretty good gap. 8 points clear, and then being the bottom two teams, 8 points is probably going to be harder to gain than us winning the championship, really. Unless we get another miracle race like Sergio Sette put out today, and Stroll and Perez are going to need something if they want to get back to 9th place in the championship. So remember to vote for your driver of the day with the poll link that will be in the video description, along with the link to the wiki for the season, which is basically fandom Wikipedia. I'm pretty sure you know what that is by now. And I update it by the end of every single race. So all the teams, all the drivers, from 2014 up to now, I think there's like 76 pages in total. And you can imagine the time that's took to win it with me doing it every single time. So I'd appreciate it if you could go give that a read, and then maybe even sneak peeks what's coming in the future there as well. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you're new, hit that notification bell to stay on any future videos. I'm going to be getting these out now once a week for the rest of the season, every Saturday at this time, 5 PM UK time GMT. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.